Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and we've got one for you today. Al Murray is not only one of the country's most loved and popular comedians and TV presenters, he's also not bad on the old drums. He's got a new album out with Fat Cops, and I was delighted to listen to it from beginning to end last night, and it's very good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. A dream come true situation, this.
It's always a bit risky, though. I get very nervous when something sticks through my cat flap and it says it's a star or celebrity trying to be a musician. But the truth is, you've always been a musician, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, it's a thing I've always done, and I've played in bands on and off, since I was a teenager. And this is sort of this band emerged in the strangest way in the last couple of years, and it's the first time I've made a record where we've chased it all the way down to the point where we have an album and there's actually something in the shops, and it's been the most fantastic experience. Although what I'm not doing is saying to myself, I wish I'd done this when I was 19, because I feel like it's a thing I can handle now, whereas I think if I'd been a kid and tried to be a rock star, I'd have gone mental, I'd have gone completely nuts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, life on the road is tortuous for a star. I think it's mildly better if you're a comedian. I mean, there's just too much temptation, and also you've got your mates with you. At least there's no party when it's just you on the road by yourself.
Well, also, yes, and the converse of it, and we did a show last night, as I was reminded of the fact that being the drummer, you're the last to leave because you've got to pack everything up, stick it in a car, and you are basically, there's the 40 minutes of glory, and then there's the whole day of basically being a removals man, and so yeah, I mean, but this whole thing has been extraordinary how it came about. The band came about completely by accident, and came about because of people arguing with each other on Twitter about politics. Right. And that's how we all met. We were all arguing with each other about politics on social media, and then realised actually these guys seem like they're fun rather than it's not worth arguing about Scottish independence anymore. Why don't we all put a band together?
Yes, very smart. And what's interesting about the sound of this band is it's born to be played live. You really get that feel throughout the album that this is something that if you're in a club, it's toe-tapping stuff, it's feel-good stuff, and there's a real sort of positive 90s vibe about it, opposed to sort of 2019 negative vibe, which I like very much.
Yeah. Well, that's actually the thing that I think that we've really captured on the record is how much fun we're having doing it, and the sound of the record is the idea is sort of a trip through someone's record collection. So there's like a sort of there's a kind of Black Great Happy Mondays feel to one tune, and then there's other things that are sort of more punky or straight up rock and roll, and other things that are kind of like classic country pop, and there's a bit of everything going on, and that's because we all really love music, which is what brought us together, despite having had these terrible, stupid arguments about politics. Yeah. And that's what's on the record. And the other thing, because there's lots of styles, if you don't like this one, there'll be another one along in a minute in a different guise. Not
that my opinion counts, but do you want my two favourite songs on the album?
Oh, no, shoot, go.
My Saving Grace, I thought, was wonderful, and I Love Girls is terrific. Yeah. What a great pop song. I think you could get some airplay with this, because it's nostalgic, but it's also contemporary. That's important. You don't want to be a sort of 60s tribute band, do you?
Yeah, no, we're not interested. No, I mean, the thing is, we look like a dad band, and we smell like a dad band. But this isn't a bunch of middle-aged guys who've learned all right now, and black sympathy for the devil. We always from the start, the idea was to see where the songwriting would take us and go that way with it. And of course, because one of the songwriters in the band is Bobby Hodgins, Bobby Bluebell, who had a #1 hit with Young at Heart, and who writes for Texas and all sorts of other really fantastic acts. He's worked with Brian Wilson, all sorts of people. The songwriting sort of the bar is pretty high, and you've got to deliver on your songwriting, and that's for us is incredibly exciting. That we've got someone of that caliber playing with us is ridiculous.
And you've got Chris Deering doing the lyrics. He's sort of got a Lightfoot sort of Van Morrison, a bit of Albarn sort of pathos about him, hasn't it? It's not sort of musical theatre. There's a beautiful rawness to his voice, which does hit home with those lyrics. They're great lyrics, which is surprising.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with this is, like I say, I've played in bands for ages, and Bobby's very experienced. But then the others in the band, it's really their since they were teenagers, it's their first bit of music at all. And Chris, as you say, is the singer. He's really coming into performing now and finding his feet. And I'm all like, there's nothing to be nervous about. Don't worry, lads. I'm very like giving it the old soldier about performing. But the wonderful thing is watching all these people sort of, Chris in particular, like discover themselves through the music. When it comes to doing stand-up, I've kind of like I've achieved all sorts of things and done all sorts of things, but this is it's completely different to being on my own. It's collaborative. It's with really interesting and smart people, and they're all they're all proper grown-ups as well. It's not like the bands I was in when I was 19, where you'd be as likely to argue about a sandwich as anything else.
Yes. Yeah, and none of you have got anything to prove. You're all successful in your own right. I wonder about being the drummer and how physically exhausting it is. It always seems to me you're sat at the back. It's got the least glamour, but you're working the hardest.
I agree with all of those. Being the drummer. I mean, it's the thing I absolutely. It's my real burning passion, and I hate it when people say that, but it really is. It's the thing I've stuck with my whole life, and I've really found exciting, and I've always been, since I sort of started becoming successful in stand-up, like the sort of drumming world. Once they knew I was into drumming, made me feel very welcome, and I've done lots of drumming events and all this sort of stuff, and it's led to the point now where I'm actually I've invested in a company where we make drum kits, and we make them in Stockport. We've got a factory, and there's 20 people on the factory floor, and it's the most exciting other new thing other than this band that I've got going on is just we're actually manufacturing and making drums in Britain, and because drumming has sort of always been there, and as a thing I absolutely love, but as you get into your 50s like I am, it does get it gets a lot harder, and there's a couple of slow tunes in the set, and you think, oh, thank God that one's come along. Right?
Have a rest.
Play another quick. Give me 5 minutes before we play another quick one.
Can't you throw away one of your sticks and become the conductor for a bit, or something like that? There's got to be a way of
Well, one of the tunes we play to a backing track because it's got a great big backing vocals on it. The song that's the sort of single at the moment called "Hands Up, Get Down" has we run a backing track, and I've got a sampler and play to the sampler, and there have been occasions where I've been tempted to just put all the drums on the sampler, and then I can sit there and maybe drink a cold beer while the band play that number, but apparently that's bad form.
Congratulations on this new album. It's called Fat Cops. It's out now, and you'll really love it. It's got this feel-good vibe about it that I just love. Some very clever lyrics. It's also immersive musically. This is what I've put in my review. And well done to Chris Deering as well with his vocals. The talky bits I love, by the way. We should mention that. Sort of a nod to the Beatles. It's sort of reminiscent of better times where guys are just having fun in the studio, and we just get a little insight into that. That's lovely. What a nice track.
Yeah, and the Scottish voices on it all are really put you right in Glasgow. There's little snatches of chat on, particularly on one of the tunes, and that's the thing I love, because we made this record last year in Glasgow during the Beast from the East. So I went up because our time's very precious. I have to get to Glasgow. They have to come to London, or we've not met in the middle yet. We haven't done that yet. Haven't had a rehearsal in Manchester, but the idea is
I've got a spare room if you want to come to Nottingham. By the way, just don't bring your drums. The neighbours won't like it.
But I got snowed in, and I'd done my drum parts and my backing vocal parts, and then I couldn't leave Glasgow because of the snowstorm. And so the band's genesis is this whole thing of me being trapped there. I'd leave the studio with my kit and go, right, lads, I found that the railway station's open, I'm going home. And then I'd come back an hour and a half later, no, the railway station's still shut. I can't escape Glasgow.
Beautiful. Let's just talk about you a little bit, if we can. You're back on the road with the Pub Landlord. What a year for him. I mean, I don't know what you'll talk about. Is there anything going on in the news that the Pub Landlord...
There's nothing much that it would interest him. No, I mean, he's basically now, and I think this is a thing that's happening for a lot of people, is we're now into be careful what you wish for territory. You know, and what do people do when they get the thing they want in life? What do they do next? And I think that's a thing we're going to see, you know, with certainly one or two politicians and certainly people for whom leaving the EU has been a really big and important thing in their lives. What now? And so that's kind of feeding into it. But speaking as someone who's writing a show right this minute, it's quite tricky because we still don't know what's actually going to happen. We still don't really know what's next, and that means like writing something hard and fast is quite difficult. But you know,
I think the last time we spoke was in Bradford, and I saw you do a show there, and I wonder what your audience will be expecting. Is it cleverer for you to bring the Pub Landlord back with a different perspective from what we'd expect? Is that funnier, or do you have to give them what they want?
No. I think you have to. You've always got to do the show that's the one that's true to what you want to do. So you can't second guess what an audience might think. But the thing is what I don't want to do is be boring. And there's right now there's plenty of opportunities to be quite boring about all this.
Have you heard Talk Radio recently? They won't stop talking about it.
Exactly, they won't stop talking about it, and it goes round and round in circles. How do I actually talk about this without descending into real dullness? And you know, that in itself is an interesting challenge for a comic. And obviously there'll be a load of people who'll go, "Oh, you're boring anyway, mate." But it's finding your way through is the challenge at the moment. But you know.
I can't wait to see him, because I think it's your opportunity this year, having spent 20 years building to this point. What does he think next? This is fun. This is a fun thought.
Well, yeah. What does he want next? And what does he really think of, this sunlit uplands that we've been promised?
Yes.
What is that actually going to amount to?
And does he want a wall building north of Watford? This is the next project.
Oh, well, I mean, walls everywhere. And obviously the gag used to be break up the Channel Tunnel, but you're gonna have to get the poles to do it if you want to go
and they've already been kicked out. Yeah, beautiful. And then one thing I'd love to say to you, one of my biggest inspirations in terms of interviewing with Dame Edna, I thought her show was amazing. Back in the 90s, when she used to get people with a sticker on if it was Tom Jones or if it was Tom Cruise, so she didn't forget the name. And I think that you sort of embodied that when you did your chat show. It was glorious. Are we going to ever see that again? Because we need variety back, and we also need a good interview show.
Well, I'd love to do more of it. ITV begged to differ when we did it, and I mean, it's interesting you compare it to Dame Edna. That was how we pitched it. When we went to ITV and we said Dame Edna experience, but with the Pub Landlord. Right. And the people at ITV at the time I think, had been, on their way through the ranks, had worked on Dame Edna, so they knew exactly what we were aiming at doing. Yeah. And I'd love to do more with it, because it always felt to me like we just got going, but then celebrity culture and interview culture has got became, I think, a bit more deferential, and what you couldn't do is what we were doing, which is, ambush people with questions and not tell them what you were going to ask them about and all that sort of thing, which is what we used to do.
But never has there been a town that celebrities need bringing down a peg or two. Let's face it. I'm not going to name names, Gemma Collins, but I mean, Al Murray sat in front of Katie Price or Gemma right now would be delicious, wouldn't it? Let's face it.
Well, the sport of it, I think, would be, what we always saw as sport, and you sort of think the people who were best on the show were the ones who rolled with it, who said, yeah, this whole thing is, celebrity in itself is preposterous, and were able to laugh at themselves. It's the people who couldn't laugh at themselves that were the where you'd think, oh God, this is like knitting fog, but that didn't happen too often.
I think you're a stunning talent. It's lovely to talk to you again, and I look forward to seeing the new tour. You can find out more. Just Google Al Murray 2019 tour, and that will come up. And put in Fat Cops into Facebook. All the tour dates and the new album is available there. Thank you so much for your time, Al. Great to talk to you.
A real pleasure. Thanks very much. Take it easy.